So they don't believe it because every one of us has what I call secondhand doubt. And these are doubts and judgments that were handed to you. We inhaled them from other people. They don't belong to us.
Get ready to reclaim your life, discover inspiring stories, practical tools, and the path to true happiness. This is Reclaim Your Life with Irina. Let's begin the journey. Susan is a powerful speaker whose life's mission is rooted in one unshakable truth: you are enough. She brings a message that meets people right where they are, in the quiet moments of self-doubt, in the spaces where identity feels lost and calls them back to themselves. Her words are a lifeline for anyone ready to stop shrinking and start owning who they truly are. Welcome, Susan. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here.
Thank you. Yes, a pleasure to have you. So please share with us a little bit. Who is Susan in your own words?
Well, I've been called crazy. I've been called heathen. I've been called a bitch. I've been called everything, right? So who am I? I am someone who, for many years, tried to fit the mold of who everyone thought that I should be. And it really has just been within the last 5 years that I've started breaking out of that mold. And not to say during that time that I didn't accomplish things. And I think that's what we need to remember, that I like to think of our life as chapters. And even though maybe I wasn't being my full self during those times, I was still able to accomplish things. I built two businesses. I had a retail store and then a children's manufacturing business, both very successful. And I then went into a 19-year career as an executive administrator. And when I did that, I walked away from my manufacturing business because I wanted to not travel. I wanted to be home with my two girls who were just starting school. They couldn't travel with me as much anymore. And I decided I'm going to do this right now in my life so that I can be their mom. And it did great. But at the end of 2025, I took a huge leap of faith and walked away from that career.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Most people hear you are enough, but don't actually believe it. What are they misunderstanding about this message?
So they don't believe it because every one of us has what I call secondhand doubt. And these are doubts and judgments that were handed to you, oftentimes by people that we trust deeply. It could have been parents. My dad used to like to tell me, "You're going to end up in the gutter someday." Or, yeah, that was his favorite line. Or one time I had all A's on a report card and one B plus in math, which math and I are not friends. But he looked at it, didn't acknowledge the A's at all, and simply said, "Why isn't there an A in math?" and handed it back to me. And comments like that make you feel like, wow, okay, I should have done better. It's not good enough yet. So it becomes this pattern in our brain, pattern recognition, that we will draw on forever. I call it's secondhand doubt, but they're like old echoes from the past. And we inhaled them from other people. They don't belong to us, but they certainly can disrupt our beliefs, our dreams, our ambitions. And it did mine. I believed that I wasn't good enough for a lot of things. I chose not to pursue becoming a pilot when I was 18 and graduating high school. I was very good at the jobs that I had, but I never pushed for a higher level of that. And most of my jobs, the job that I had for 19 years was phenomenal. Great people. I had offers all along the way of the next higher level, bigger money, bigger position, because people saw potential in me. I didn't go seeking it, but I never believed that I could fulfill on that. So it's hard for us to believe that we are enough just the way that we are. And I'm finally coming to a place in my life that I am believing it. I'm dealing with some of these old traumas in the past. I'm dealing with some of these voices that like to sit on my shoulder and whisper at me and trying to get beyond that.
Totally. Yeah. You're so right, actually, at a young age. Even when we go to school, the mistakes are pointed out with red ink.
Yes.
So our attention is like, we're going to focus on what was wrong and ignoring everything that was so good. And even if, when I ask you to remember a good memory, the negative memory flashes back so much vividly in our mind, because we only we remember the bad times, but we don't appreciate the good times, and the not good enough. And it's not our own belief. It's something we've inherited from others. And not to say that they didn't know what they were doing, they only knew what they were getting. And now we are at the stage when we are realizing that, and hopefully we can stop passing it on to our generation, to our kids, because of what we learned, so it can stop with us. And
I agree.
Those beliefs are so powerful, those little things, because when we are young, we have no critical faculty to distinguish what's good or bad. We just take it in, and then we get to live it for the rest of our life. And then those subconscious installations can wreak havoc on our day-to-day living without us even realizing what's going wrong, because we are doing everything right, but we are getting a bad result.
You know, one thing that I've really leaned into recently is being grateful for, I'll give you an example, my dad. My dad was not a great father, didn't really ever feel his love. But what I've tried doing recently is being grateful. He created me. He did set me on this path, and the experiences that I did have with him do form who I am today. And then and saying exactly what you said, they didn't know. As a friend of mine says, they did the best that they could at the time with what they knew and had. So I've been trying, and it's trying. This is not, this is not a one and done, trying to be thankful for that and letting everything else go. And I will say, though, that I feel unburdened. I feel lighter when I do that.
Totally.
So, yeah.
Was there a moment in your life where you personally didn't feel like you were enough? And what changed for you?
Oh, wow. So many moments. I think as mothers, we go through that a lot because there's the inevitable comparing ourselves with other people. That mom has it all together. She has her career and she does this and her kids are involved in this. I must not be doing enough. Or there were many times that my relationship with my husband, who's now my ex, I wasn't enough for that. And if I'm honest, that probably started before we were even married. I just didn't recognize it. I doubted who I was so much when I met him at 19 that I just thought that's the way it was. What's changed is over the last few years, really the last 5 years, I have had people come up and tell me, Susan, what you tell me and what you're learning about these limiting doubts, these beliefs, and what I'm sharing with people out of love was really resonating. And they all kept telling me, Susan, it's because of the relationship that I've had with you that I was able to make it through all these years. And that included teen girls, it included adults, men and women in my life that I wouldn't say I was coaching them, but I was just friends with them. So it started me thinking, you know what? I must have a purpose to share this message. And I finally realized that I truly was enough. I didn't have to have the PhD in education. I didn't have to have all the credentials behind my name. What I know and what I've experienced was enough. And so again, it's a process. I still have doubts. Maybe I need to do this or do that to be better equipped. But a couple of years ago is when I really realized that, no, this is really what I'm supposed to be doing. I really feel like God called me to share this message and to share the message against judgment of other people because I was so judged all through my life. It's hard. Irina, it's, gosh, we have to tell ourselves that every single day.
Just like brushing teeth.
Yes, yes,
We don't expect
yes.
good oral hygiene. We don't do it every day. So in the same with the you are enough. Your
Very
mental
true.
health.
Yeah. And, I have a mentor who told me, he goes, Susan, the more that you lean into your purpose, the more that you're on the right path, the more resistance is going to come in and push against you because it doesn't want you to succeed. Your patterns are set and your brain and the forces around you want to keep you in those patterns. So to break free from them, you have to push against the resistance and say, I see you there. I'm not going to buy into it. And you can go back over into this compartment and just keep moving forward little by little. Yeah.
What does it actually cost a woman when she keeps living like she is not enough?
Well, wow. What it cost me was staying in a marriage for years, far too long. And it was slowly erasing my identity, my passions for adventure and nature and goofiness and liking being on stage and talking to people. It was erasing the trust I had in myself to do anything difficult because, when you have someone in your life who doesn't support you and believe in you, and it's not that they have to be completely involved in that part of your life, but really a partner is there to help keep you safe or so you feel safe. And that's what I realized quite a few years ago is I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe in my marriage. I didn't feel safe in my own skin. And it's taken me a little bit to get through that. But really, I think what it really costs is you lose yourself. You put on these masks that you're fine and you're not. You try and be the perfect wife, the perfect mom, the perfect employee, and you become very status quo so that you don't make waves in each of those relationships. And I think it can cost you dreams and time in our lives. So you have to start taking those small steps, even if you don't believe you are enough for everything yet. Those small steps will build that belief.
Totally. And I love how you said it can cost you your dreams.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
when you are living in the not enough, you could never allow yourself to believe what can be possible. You can
Yeah.
only accept what you see in your immediate environment. But it doesn't work like that. We gotta first create our belief internally before we can see external result. So it can be difficult to overcome that, and especially you're working against your mind, your brain, because primary directive of it is to keep you safe.
Yeah.
And when you are safe, you are inside the zone of, what do they call it, the gray zone,
The
from
great.
which you cannot expand upon because it keeps you safe and comfortable and convenient, but you don't
Yes.
grow through that. You don't grow through resistance.
No. No.
Totally get that. For someone who spent years putting herself last, where does she even begin to rebuild that sense of I am enough?
I think you start small and prove to yourself that you are important. And for me, what that looked like was starting to do things that were for no one else but myself, including going to the gym. I love making myself strong. I'm not the fittest person. I'm not the skinniest person. But when I go to the gym and I lift a weight or challenge myself, it does something to my brain. It's like, oh, you're stronger than you think you are. And that helped me a lot. And also just doing small things that really mean a lot to you. You know, wearing maybe brighter colors. So for a long time, and it's funny, I have navy blue on today, but I used to wear very subdued colors because that was kind of how my personality was. It was very subdued. And every once in a while, I would find a shirt that was brighter and bolder. And, people would tell me, oh, that pattern looks horrible. And it's like, I don't care. I'm going to wear it anyway because um, I just heard this. When you put on your clothes, you need to think about how does it make you feel when you have them on? And so now that's what I look at my clothes about is how do I feel? Is it there are days that we want to be, just all put together and confident. And there are days that we want to express our creative side and be bold and outgoing. And then there are days that we just want to be cozy and quiet and secure. And that might look like a sweatshirt and a hoodie and sweatpants. And all of it's okay. So, I think the other piece of this, Irina, is to surround yourself with people that believe in you. And this is what got me through is my friend group, who I have this incredible friend group since high school. There's a bunch of us, and we have maintained that friendship over 40 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. It's incredible. We're all different ethnicities, all different sexualities, all different political views, religions, and none of it ever mattered from the beginning. It just, we accept each other the way that they are. And I know that that's rare, but when you can surround yourself with people who say, Susan, you're good. Stop it. Stop doubting yourself in that. And we all have done it to each other throughout the years. And then the other thing that I did was I put myself in a group of other business women who were above me, want something that I wanted to aspire to. But what that did was they met me where I was at and said, yeah, I didn't feel like I was enough either. I didn't feel like I was smart enough to do this or had the capabilities to figure it out, but I did it. And then they put out their hand and they say, here, let me help you. And if you can find a group of women somewhere in your community, somewhere in your business, somewhere in your church to just shore you up, that makes all the difference in the world.
I love all the points you mentioned, starting with the going to the gym. You gave yourself a self-esteem boost.
I did. Yeah. And physically or mentally the serotonin boost, right?
And you get an endorphins release
Yes.
because you get like a sugar rush, but this rush is from exercising, from
Yeah.
doing
No,
more than
I
you thought you were
medicated myself
capable.
with sugar for far too many years.
Yeah, and surrounding, and I call that comment about clothes. I think it's so important. How does it make you feel, as opposed to somebody else's opinion or idea of who you are? You get to create your own by how you feel. And I used to have I wanted to feel like a girl again, because every time you dress up, you have to be like in just black or white, very
Yes.
one tone colors. And then once in a while, I want to feel like a girl. I want to wear a dress with flowers or something bright that kind of screams because I want to feel that as well. And it's nothing, not to say one is wrong, the other one is good. It's all goes
No.
back to how it makes us feel on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it doesn't make us feel good, then stop wearing it. Change it.
I agree. I was told I need to go through my closet, but I can see the benefit of that. And also ridding yourself of the clothes from the past version of you. So that's a project on my list.
I have not done that, so it's a project on my list as well. And your last point about surrounding yourself with people who see more in you than you see in yourself, you always want something to aspire to, and when you have that support, because it's incredible, it boosts your own self-esteem, it gives you ability to dream bigger, and because you are not surrounded by naysayers and people who want to drag you down, you have that belief, and it can become stronger, and it can unlock doors within yourself you didn't know was possible for you, because we always, how did I say, you are the 5 people you surround yourself with the most. So
It's true.
or
And what that did for me was it kept the people who were my naysayers. I was able to, when they would say things to me, I was able to discern it a little bit better and look at it like, what is your motive for saying this instead of supporting me? And I was able to dissect a little bit. Really, it's more about them than it is about me.
because you're showing them what they couldn't do for themselves, and they don't want you to be different. They want,
Yeah.
because then
Yes.
you're showing like a mirror, you know.
Ugh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's something people do that looks like self-worth but actually isn't?
Ooh. Wow, that's a great question. Something people do that looks like self-worth. I think it's putting on the mask and pretending to be the great mom or the great employee. Um, I was told by fellow people that I worked with, like, they admired me because I was always very level. I was always very status quo. So I had this mask of being the organized, being the thought leader, being the I can help anyone, I can make life easy. That was my job, was to make life easier for the people around me. But it was simply a mask, because when some very difficult times came upon me, when my mom was very ill, going through the divorce and all that, I never let any of that show. So the version that they got of me was not the real me. And I thought for many years that I was doing great, that it was I'm the great employee. But what it was really doing was stifling my creativity as well, because if I showed something that I was really excited about or an idea that I had, it would take me out of that image that I've built, and they might think that I'm crazy, and they might think that I've gone off on left field, so I wouldn't share. I muted myself to be this perfect whatever. So I think sometimes that we think we're building our self-worth by being this image that people have said this is successful. So we join into that and we become that for them, really, because it's not really about us. We feel successful because we matched that image. But if you dig just below the surface of that, is that really you?
Totally, totally. And I can relate to that. When I was going through my divorce, nobody could have even tell that anything was wrong, because I would put on a smile, I would go through the day, I would perform my things, duties, and obligation to check off the boxes. But inside, it felt like the walls were collapsing in. But we have that idea that we have to maintain that persona, that image that we have created, that we have built, because in the end of the day, we are the stories we tell ourselves, how we
Yes.
create ourselves, how we project into the world of who we are. And we have so many of them, or like masks, I guess. You are one way with your friends, and then you are another way in a place of workplace. And then you're another way, maybe that you do a hobby or a kind of a passion of yours. And all of that has like one person with many different avenues and facets, and how you show up in the world and who you are becoming. When we wear so many masks, sometimes it becomes difficult, and we lose our core center, our core identity, who we really are on the inside. Once we remove all those ideas, titles, and how society sees us, how we want to be perceived, and we can lose our identity as a result because of wearing so many. It's like I call it, if we're in a circus, when a clown comes out, has a smiley face, and then a second later, maybe it's a frown, just to fit the moment and fit the place. But in real life, you can end up losing our identity because we were giving away maybe in certain areas, and in others we were detracting, and then no
Yeah.
longer knew who we are.
I love that. I love what you said about your core identity. And I think it's something that we have to really pursue, because I think we have muted it for so long. We've met the performance that's needed in that moment, just like you said. And there's a time and a place for that. I 100% acknowledge that. But you have to learn who you really are, because what I've realized is to feel deeply, to trust myself, to be able to open myself up to anybody else, I've got to get in touch with who I am first.
Yes, totally. What is your superpower if you have to pick one?
Ooh. Lifting people up and believing in them. I have always supported people who were brave enough not to meet the social norms for whatever way that was. And I've always accepted them right where they're at and who they were, and tried to tell them it's okay. You're great just the way you are. You don't have to change for anybody. I didn't realize that was my superpower until a lot of people from my past. I've been collecting stories about resilience and different things. And they all come back to me and say, this is why I've been so close to you for so many years. This is why, um, I mentored girls all the way from kindergarten through high school, and I'm still friends with a great number of them. And now they're close to 30 years old. I don't know how that happened, but oh my gosh. But they all said it was because we knew you accepted us exactly how we were and
Totally
loved
right.
us. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's an amazing superpower to have. You are the cheerleader for others and cheerleader for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Was there any book you read that you wish more people knew about that inspired your journey or your learning?
Gosh, so I just recently dove into a book called Mind Frequencies, and I was never believed in energy or frequencies or any of that. And what I've realized as of late is that it's not in conflict with my faith, it is my faith. And so if you've never explored that, I would highly recommend it. I put it on audiobook, and whenever I have to go on, I live in Southern California, I'm always in traffic. So it gives me the chance to listen to a chapter or part of a chapter quite often, almost every day. And I've gone back and listened to certain chapters multiple times because they speak to me at different ways, but it's really understanding our faith, but also the energy that we give off to others, but also the energy that we can take into ourselves. So it's all connected. And it also explained to me why I am so connected with nature, specifically pine trees and mountains. I felt that ever since one of my high school girlfriends got me camping in my early 20s, and I thought she was out of her mind. But yeah, but now I can't be away from it for very long. So,
I love it. Yes.
yeah.
Such a powerful book. I'm going to take a look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything I haven't asked that you like to share?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm just grateful to have gotten to know you because I think your message about reclaiming your life is so important. It certainly is the motto of what I've been going through the last couple of years. I think you and I are so much aligned on that and going through similar situations. But yeah, no, I think we got it all. I'm just so grateful to have met you through the common group that we're in and able to work together.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to have you. And this podcast wouldn't be possible because of guests like yourself
Mm.
who are willing to share their story, their vulnerability, and help others feel that reclaiming life is possible. It's only one decision away.
Yeah.
If people would like
Yes.
to connect and learn more about you, where would they go?
Well, you can put it in the show notes, but the easiest way is through my website, which is depending on where you're from, thesusanhouston.com. And my email is susan@thesusanhouston.com as well. I'm happy to connect. I also have a podcast called Done Pretending by Susan Houston, and you can connect with me there as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll include everything in episode notes. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
If something in this conversation spoke to you, just know you are not alone in it. That feeling of not enough didn't start with you, but it can stop with you. And it doesn't take a complete life overhaul. Just one small step back toward yourself. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who might need to hear it today.